Welcome back to KetoMealsAndRecipes.com. Before getting started with this recipe, I'd like to thank Love Water, who suggested I make this recipe 2.5 years ago, and also to everyone who has recently reminded me that I did promise but have not yet made this recipe. So today, I'm making the garlic parmesan chicken wings, my keto adapted version, which is a copycat of the popular Wingstop restaurant version. To make this recipe keto and low carb, I'm using a couple innovative nuances in order to keep the carbs as low as possible. By keeping the carbs low, you can enjoy more wings. Makes sense to me. As well as being a recipe video, this video is a techniques video in which I will show you how easy it is to cut a whole wing into pub-style wing pieces. I've shown this in other videos, but this is in case you're new to my channel or have not seen those. And if you would like to support me, please watch the entire video all the way through at regular speed because the YouTube algorithm promotes videos by watch time and duration. And by the way, in this video, I will also provide suggestions for a dip and other sides that goes wonderfully with these Parmesan garlic wings. And if you like this recipe, please check the end cards, which I have picked specifically if you like garlic Parmesan wings and are looking for more similar ideas. In order that you can decide how many wings you should have, I recommend 1/6 of the total. Here's the macronutrient ratio for these keto garlic Parmesan wings. The macronutrient ratio is 2:1, with 4.8 grams of total carbs, 0.5 grams of dietary fiber, resulting in 4.3 grams of net carbs per serving. Before starting, I always gather up all of my ingredients and weigh things out if necessary. However, if you've bought the whole wings, the first thing you should do is to cut them up into tips, flats, and drumettes. Don't be intimidated because this is a really easy process, and all you really have to do is feel where the joints are and cut in between them. And when you find the right spot, it cuts through very easily. It may take you a couple tries to figure out which side of the joint you should go on, but I assure you after 2 or 3 wings you'll be a pro. I don't use the wing tips in preparing pub-style wings because there's no meat on them. Instead, I save all of my wing tips by placing the tips in a freezer-safe container, and then I freeze the tips to be used when I make bone broth. The tips are a really good source of collagen, and there's no need to waste them. The next step actually has 2 purposes. First, take a large bowl and fill it half with tap water, and then add some white vinegar. Then drop in the cut wing parts and have them soak for 15 to 30 minutes. As I said, there's 2 reasons. The first reason is that this process will clean the chicken wings from any potential contaminants. And the second reason is the vinegar helps with making the wings nice and crispy when they're coated and baked. And then just drain the vinegar water and give them one final rinse with tap water. Now, if you want really nice and crispy wings, it's very important that you thoroughly dry the wings. As I'm rinsing them, I first place them in a single layer on a multiple layer of paper towels. And then I also individually pat dry each wing as I prepare it for coating. At this point, it might be a very good idea to preheat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit or 200 degrees Celsius. The coating for the wings is just a few simple ingredients. In a bowl, combine the whey protein powder, baking powder, salt, and pepper. Having added all the ingredients to your bowl, just simply whisk together in order to ensure that all the ingredients are well combined, especially making sure that the baking powder is well distributed throughout the protein powder. Next, take each individual wing part and put it in the dry coating mix. Roll it around to make sure that the wing pieces are completely coated and there are no bare spots. And a really good coating is important because it's this coating that will ensure that your wings get that really nice crispy exterior and will actually look and taste as if you've deep fried them. I prefer not to use almond or coconut flour or pork rinds. I hope you give this version of coating a try because it's really good. As you finish coating each piece, place that wing part in a single layer on your wire rack. But make sure that you leave plenty of room between the pieces so that the hot air can circulate. Repeat until you've done all of the pieces, and when all of your pieces are well coated, as you see here, place this wire rack with the wings into the middle position of your preheated oven. But please make sure that you put a baking sheet underneath this wire rack, because as these wings bake, they will drip some fat, and that's so that the baking sheet will catch all the fat drippings. Then set the timer on your oven to bake for 30 minutes, at which point it's important that you turn the wings over and bake for another 20 to 30 minutes. Flipping them will ensure that both sides are nice and crispy. But as always, I have to mention that total baking time will depend on how thick your drumettes are and how crispy you like them, and also if you intend to rebake them after coating with the garlic parmesan sauce. Speaking of which, after you've flipped your wings and put them back in the oven, you can take this time to prepare your parmesan sauce, which is also very easy to make. To your small saucepan, add the butter, the garlic powder, the paprika, salt, and cayenne pepper, the grated parmesan. Put everything into the pot and place the pot on your stovetop element set to medium-low heat. Stir and cook until the butter has completely melted and you notice that your sauce is starting to simmer lightly. Allow this sauce to simmer for about 5 minutes, but don't forget to stir. Then remove the pot with the garlic parmesan sauce off the element and set it aside to cool to room temperature. But as it's cooling, do stir once in a while. My timer just went off and my wings are done, so I'm going to remove the rack from the oven and I'm going to transfer all the wings into my large mixing bowl. Before pouring the parmesan over the wings, give it one last stir. And then just toss the wings and sauce very well to ensure that all the wings are well coated. I transfer everything to a shallow serving bowl. There was a lot of garlic parmesan sauce on the bottom, so I'm using my fingers, or you could use a pastry brush, to scoop up the garlic parmesan sauce and brush it or coat the wings until all the sauce has been used up. And that's all I do to my wings. I don't put them back in the oven because my family thinks the wings are just right and that they are crispy enough. But if you think your wings are not crispy enough, or you would want them to be a bit crispier, lay them in a single layer on your rack again, put them in your heated oven, and let them bake for 3 to 5 minutes. But keep an eye on them and be careful not to burn the wings after you have done such a great job up to this point. If you've done this last bake, remove them from the oven and let them cool on your rack for a few minutes. Some people like to eat just the wings, but if you would like a nice dip, that is a perfect accompaniment for the garlic parmesan wings as they are in Wingstop. We have found that the ranch dressing, which I make a little bit thicker than just a salad dressing, is an excellent flavor combination for the garlic parmesan chicken wings. And I also like to serve a few wedges of fresh, cool cucumber as a side. I hope that you will give my version of the garlic parmesan wing recipe a try really soon, because it really does reduce the total carb count and does not have a coconut or almond taste. And as a result, you can really taste the garlic and the parmesan flavor much better. And do let me know what you think of the use of protein powder instead of coconut flour, almond flour, or pork rinds. As always, the link for the printable written recipe, which can be translated to any language using Google Translate, is provided in the description below. Thank you very much for watching the video, especially if you survived all the way to the end. Please like and share this video, and if you have not done so before or are new to my channel, I would be most honored if you would become a subscriber, and I love receiving comments from you. I hope you'll come back and check out my next video when it's posted. Until then, take care and stay well.